Welcome to everybody that's joining us, and for those of you who are watching us on playback, I hope you enjoy it, and please do post any questions to us because we're always happy to answer them even after the live. So I think, should we kick off by doing a little introduction? Angela, do you want to tell us a bit about you?
Yeah, so I'm, many of you may know already, I'm the founder of Inspired Medics. I'm also a portfolio GP, and it has been about 3 years since we've really, at Inspired Medics, been talking a lot about portfolio careers and creating an amazing career for yourself and work-life balance and all these kinds of things that are important to people. But we did host a big portfolio careers conference, in fact, the first national GP portfolio careers conference ever in 2018. I know that a lot of people still follow us for that reason, for the careers information, and they found that quite interesting. So yeah, and that happened because I'm a portfolio GP myself. So I'm director of Inspired Medics. I have a special interest in dermatology. I'm clinical lead of a service and run the service for community dermatology for one medical group in Leeds. I have an interest in lifestyle medicine, and Inspired Medics provides training in lifestyle medicine. I'm a director for a charity, British Society of Lifestyle Medicine. I sit on a board for UK Health Coaches Association. And I also am very proud of a new venture, which is helping out with a local charity to bring lifestyle interventions to a very deprived area in Leeds, which is actually where I grew up, my first home when I was a child. So that's something quite nice to be involved in.
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah, tell us about yourself,
so
Claire.
You're a very busy lady, aren't you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I am a portfolio GP by trade, and I have done loads and loads of different roles. I would probably say my biggest, if I'm thinking with my GP hat on, my biggest passions really are clinically around frailty, and so I've set up a big service that was nationally recognised and award-winning, and I've done lots and lots of other things, like working for a health tech company. I've been a CQC inspector, but a nice one. I have done all sorts of other things, but my main passion within my portfolio career is around medical education, which is kind of one of our bonding points as well, isn't it? And I work for the BMJ and have done for, oh gosh, a million years, so probably about 14 years. So I helped set up and develop BMJ Masterclass GP Update courses and BMJ Live. And but my biggest passion is what I do as my day job now. I don't do clinical work anymore. I'm an executive coach specialising in career development, and I've basically been developing my own career for the last 20 years. And I've seen it all. And a lot of my clients come and talk to me, obviously, about career transitions. Some people love their jobs and want to just develop it more and don't know how to optimize their career. Some people want to build their platform, but a lot of people feel stuck, feel trapped. They don't know what the next step is. They don't know how to move forwards. I see a lot of medics, and we've kind of come together on this point, as well as a bit on the lifestyle medicine, about, which we'll talk about in a moment, about that sort of connection around how people are feeling at the moment, portfolio careers, and also a little bit of drip of the lifestyle medicine as well, haven't we, Angela?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you said you've had quite a lot of people asking about how you create a career in lifestyle medicine. That's a common question that we both are getting, and something that we actually address in one of the modules in the lifestyle medicine course in quite depth, but happy to talk about that this evening as well. I know people have tuned in for that reason.
I know, I mean, it's something that's really prominent. So I have a lot of clients, and it's really interesting because I tend to attract, I mean, I coach anybody around careers, but a huge proportion of the people I coach tend to be GPs. And a lot of the conversations I've been having recently, which we've been talking about, is people feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and actually just wanting to make a difference in patients' lives that isn't just giving them a pill or a quick fix, but actually thinking very holistically and thinking about, well, how do I do that? And what is this lifestyle medicine, and how do I bring that together into what I'm doing? Or is there even such a thing as a career in lifestyle medicine? And I know that we could talk about that maybe even more in more depth, perhaps another time, but it really sparked off a conversation that we were having about, well, how do you create a career that you actually want? Like, how do you actually have something rather than just being on this travelator and then waking up one day and going, hang on, I don't understand, I don't really like what I'm doing. Why am I here? How am I here? And well, I've got to carry on now because I don't know what else to do. And that's the sort of conversations I've been having. And that's, you know, and I think a lot of people feel like that. Have you seen that, Angela?
Absolutely, yeah. And and that's the position I was in before I developed my own portfolio GP career. And one of the reasons I feel so passionate about talking about this is I honestly feel if I can do this and create a career that I'm really happy with, that really serves me, that I enjoy every day, makes my personal life better because my work life is better. And if I can do it, I just think anybody can. And I just want to share my own experiences of how it happened for me and what I felt were the important things that allowed it to happen for me. Because people often think about the barriers and why they can't do things. And, you know, I'm a single parent. I was bringing up 2 children by myself since they were 2 and 1. So I'm the main breadwinner in the family. Obviously, that's really important. So if you're changing your career up, you've got to think about the income still coming in. And then you're quite restricted when you've got young children as to how much you can work and what hours you can work if you're a single parent. And then you've got to think about childcare. And also, I'm quite a hands-on mum. Didn't want to leave my children with babysitters or with even, I'm lucky I've got my grandparents and they've got their grandparents nearby. But I wanted to bring them up. And I actually think the portfolio career I now have gives me more time for family. And also, now they're older, it's more me time now for my own personal life and adventures that I like to do, outdoor adventures. So yeah, so it can be done. You know, if I've done it in these circumstances, I think others can do it too.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know, I'm in a different position, but similar in the sense that, you know, I just felt that I have got 3 kids, and I just felt I knew that I wanted something, but I didn't want what I was doing. And I knew that actually there were other bits that really brought me great joy and other things that didn't. But I was almost like, well, I have to be a GP partner to be successful. That is what everyone around me is doing. That is what successful is. So that's what I have to do. And then I suddenly thought, oh, but I don't want to do that. And then I was like, well, okay, well, that means that I'm a failure and I'm going to be a failure because if I don't want to do that, then what else is there to do? And that gradually I realized that actually I was wrong and that I needed to make some changes. And initially for me, it was very small changes because I was very scared when I was trying to build this career. Like, how do you build a career, which we're going to talk about. So I just made really small changes that felt very safe and manageable. And it actually allowed me to shape and build a career that was very off-piste at the time. Like, nobody was doing, or very few people were doing that. And everyone's like, oh, poor Claire, she doesn't really know what she's doing. But actually, I managed to create this career through hard work and a bit of bravery, to be honest. But actually, that is so fulfilling and has changed as my life has changed. So when the kids were little, I perhaps did it in a different way to how I do it now. I've done things and then changed them. I've done a role, stopped doing a role when I've sort of fallen out of love with it, you know, or it's changed, you know, and it's just shaped and molded as my life has changed, just like you've done. You know, I know your kids are bigger now and you can do different things. And so I suppose what we wanted to bring this up a bit about us, because I think both of us feel like if we can do this, anybody can do this. It's not, we aren't special. No disrespect, Andrew, you are very special. I'm not special. But, you know, if
we're
we
all
can
special in our own way. But what we mean is we haven't got special superpowers, have we?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's kind of the premise. And we've been connecting about lots of different things, and we'll share some of the exciting things we're doing later together. But we've had some really interesting questions around this sort of, you know, how do you create this happy career, happy you idea, haven't we, Angela?
Yeah, I'll come to those, but I actually just wanted to pick you up on a few things that you said there, because actually that actually links up with some of the tips I have, because people will be thinking, well, how do I do it then?
Yeah.
So you said you mentioned, I'm just going to quote you on things. You said,
no.
You said I went off piste, right? And you also mentioned the word bravery. And I think that's really important. And that links in with something that I was going to say as a tip, which is visualize your dream, right? So if you visualize how you see your life and your dream career and your dream life, your dream day, your dream week, you know, if you can visualize that, make a vision board, then in order to go for that does require a bit of bravery,
Mm.
going off piste. And, I've done that as well. I left a GP salaried job that I was quite happy and comfortable at, but I wasn't loving it. I left that, and that was a massively brave move at the time because I didn't have a regular income. I didn't know where I was going next, basically. And I thought, oh gosh, this is a massive risk. I'm losing this regular income. So I think you've mentioned that, and I think it's just important to say to people that, you do have to take some risks and be brave. But I think if you align your bravery with your vision, your gut instinct is telling you to be brave and go in that direction. And your gut instinct usually does know what is best for you and which journey your life should take.
Yeah, and it's so true. And actually, what you're sort of basically saying is around sort of self-coaching questions that we can all ask ourselves. So obviously I see clients face to face, and I'm sure you do lots of coaching in your lifestyle medicine as well. But that's a more sort of structured approach, but we can all ask ourselves sort of these self-coaching questions like, what does good look like for me? In 5 years' time, what would be the perfect situation? Let's break it down without all the barriers, without any constraints. What would be the perfect situation for me? And then actually, once you've done that, you can start to, as you say, use a vision board if you're, quite a visual person. And I've seen loads of my clients use that really successfully. And some people find that harder and a bit sort of almost fairy tale-esque, which can be, more. But if you're that type of person, almost you can almost do just the quick. Well, I'd be working 4 days a week in a team where I would have a leadership role or whatever it is, but constructing sort of the bare bones of what it is, and then the practical bit can come in later. And I kind of do this around something called the 3 R's, which is in that article that I don't know if anybody's seen it. Well, actually quite a lot of people have seen it on your website, but it was an article around this topic, and it's about the sort of first bit is about reflecting about where you're at, where you want to go, what you could have, what makes you happy, what motivates you, what drains you, all those type of questions. And then the middle bit is about, the second R is about reinventing that sort of fairy tale vision board. In a perfect world, what would I have? And then the third bit, which is really important, which sort of feeds into what you were saying, is the rebuild bit, which is, when you were saying about being a single mom, main breadwinner, actually the practical bit is super important. Where's the finances going to come in this? Yes, I might want to go and be whatever it is, as a portfolio doctor, or whatever aspects of your career you're bringing in, or personal trainer 3 days a week and a GP 2 days a week. But actually, if that doesn't work financially, or if that doesn't work for your family, or that's not going to make you happy. So it's about bringing in those 3 aspects, I think, to what you're saying, which is, I think, brilliant advice.
Yeah, and I love it how it just sort of came out, and that's why I noted it down, what you were saying.
And we didn't even discuss that.
These tips sort of come out, and so and some of the things you mentioned, some words, I'll quote you again. You said the word adaptable, how things adapt. You adapted it as things went on. And you mentioned molded, and I just wanted to pick up on that because I also think that you don't have to have it all figured out now. If you know that you want to make a change, that you're not quite, you mentioned the word fulfilled as well, Claire. So if you feel that you are not fulfilled in what you're doing now, you don't have to know exactly what your destination is. And I think for medics, that's a really hard one to get your head around, because at 18, we pictured being on the wards in our white coats with our stethoscopes around our necks. In 5 years' time, that was the plan. And we've always had a plan, I think, since signing up, submitting those UCAS forms. At 18, we knew we were going to graduate. At 23, we knew we were going to be a junior doctor for a while, then you're going to choose to be a surgeon or a GP, medic. And this is a very different approach. So when you follow your gut instincts and you want to create something that actually is really good for you and fulfilling and that you're going to really enjoy, it doesn't mean leaving medicine. It might mean just adapting your medical career. You don't have to have the whole structure and destination. And it is really about molding the journey. And sometimes it's just about taking a few little baby steps, doing a little bit of what you think is in the right direction of where you want to go, and then change it as it goes along and try it out. And you'll learn a lot from trying things out. I'm trying out an Instagram live today. I haven't done one from Inspired Medics before, thought, well, you know what, there's no harm in it, we'll just try it out, see what happens. And it'll be fun talking to you, Claire, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. And, you know, I always liken it to being, you know, in an airport. Not that many of us have been to airports recently, but they have those travelators. And it's like your career is on a travelator and you just keep on going. And then you just kind of get off and you want look around and go, oh, I'm here. And actually, it's really interesting when you start to not necessarily step off, because that can feel scary. But as you're saying, maybe dip your toe off the travelator into the surrounding area, if you like, and think, well, actually, I really like teaching, for example. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know whether teaching is going to be something that I want to do long term, but actually, you know what? I could just go and teach those medical students this afternoon and see how I feel and see if it makes me feel alive and motivated and excited, or whether actually it's a bit and not something I actually perhaps want to do again. And if you do those little things that just feel really manageable, it starts to show you, you know, those feelings about what really fires you up, what motivates you, and then you can start to bring those things into your career. Because like you're saying, you don't have to keep your career the same or completely change it. There can be a middle ground where you just bring in other aspects to your career that are really motivating, like, you know, like you've done, like I've done, and to change it depending on where you're at. So
Yeah.
I had a client the other day who was saying, I know I want to change, I know what the change I need to do is, but actually, I'm not ready to make that change yet. I just want to pause. I want to cook more in my kitchen. I want to, or whatever it is that she wanted to do. And actually, it's really important, I think, to think about your pathway to change and success. Doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be a fast whoop. It can be, and for most people, it's like a sawtooth approach, where you actually do a bit, try a bit in manageable steps, have a pause, do a bit more, and it's just carrying on the journey, which I think is really important.
And actually, I've got a little example of that
Oh,
to
go
share
on.
with you about what you said about the person on the travelator that might want to step off and think, oh, I might just try a bit of teaching. So I had a gut feeling, going back a long time ago, maybe, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, that I wanted to teach, because I'd go to medical events where I was there to learn CPD, and there'd be a speaker who's usually a consultant, and I'd be listening and be thinking, you know what, I'd really like to be the one that teaches my colleagues. But, you know, what do I know? I'm not an expert in anything, so I can't do that. And then, you know, I forgot that I had that passion, and I went on and did my specialising in dermatology. And then I would get lots of requests to teach, you know, to do a session for GPs. But I was never brave enough, because I thought, well, I can't do public speaking, so I'm not going to do it. And I kept saying no. And then one day I said yes. And it was, and you know how you said, just try it and see how it makes you feel. So I knew inside that I had a gut feeling this is something I wanted to do, otherwise I wouldn't have said yes. But when I was there, I must say, didn't enjoy it. I sort of hated it. And there's about 20 GPs in the room. And then I did another one at my own practice that was even worse, because I knew all my colleagues and it made it harder. So even though I didn't enjoy it, I still had the gut feeling that this is what I want to do, which must have been right, because through Inspired Medics, I've spoken to audiences of about 400 in the room at once. And we've taught thousands of people now through our own courses. I've been invited to speak at RCGP conferences and Pulse, where there's been about 600-700 people in the room. Anyway, and sometimes I still hate it at the time, but I know, because it is nerve-wracking, public speaking to a big audience. But no, in my inside tells me that it's something I want to do. So the point is that just try things out. I didn't know when I did that very first talk to 20 GPs that it was going to lead to me teaching thousands of GPs in lifestyle medicine later on down the line. But that was the first little step, saying yes to that. And I know I said I hated it, and I sometimes still hate it, but mostly now, I mean, 90% of the time I love it. I just have the 10% of fear when I'm doing something slightly new that I'm not used to. And that was actually, it was only the first 2 small talks that I did that I really hated doing. After that, I started to enjoy it more. And now I thrive from it.
I mean, I love the fact that you said it was actually the fear that was the bit that you hated. And actually, that's really interesting, because actually, that's the biggest thing I think a lot of us feel is, well, either I can't do that, or I'm not good enough, or yes, but I'm too busy, or yes, but all of those conversations. And I talk about this all the time, is about changing the yes but to the what if I did do it, what if I could. And that's quite an interesting way to get over that fear block. And another thing which I think is really useful is I do this thing called #career inspiration each week, which is where I feature inspiring women, you have been one of them, who have a kind of career mantra about how they've overcome things and how they've moved forward in their career. And one of them was better done than perfect. And I think that that's a really inspirational approach, actually, particularly for medics, because a lot of us are perfectionists that actually think, well, I can't go and teach because I'm not perfect at it, I'm not amazing, I haven't done a million courses. But actually you can. And you can just try. It doesn't have to be perfect, because you learn from it when it's not perfect, and then you can go and move on and get better. And actually understanding you don't have to be perfect in whatever it is that you're trying out is actually, for me, quite revolutionary. Because even as an example, I'm doing lots and lots on Instagram at the moment, and I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I'm just learning on the job, and that's fine. And some of it's rubbish and some of it's great, but I'm learning as I go. But if I waited until I knew how to do it, I'd never do it. So I think that's the other thing about overcoming that fear, is just say, oh, I just have a go.
Yeah,
it's fine
that's
to have a go
as well. Just say yes to things. Figure out how you can do it later. When you asked me to do this Instagram live with you, I said yes. I wanted to do it because it was you who'd asked me. You formed that connection already. Actually, that's another tip: forming connections with people. You just never know where things will go. You said let's do an Instagram live. I've never done one where I've set it up before. I thought I'll just say yes, see what happens, and we figured it out, didn't we? Well, I figured it out in the end, very short, at last minute this evening. So, yes, I think say yes, work out the solution later.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that I want to just touch on some of the questions that came into us beforehand.
Yeah.
Because there's a really interesting one about family and friends who are kind of advising you about what you should do, you telling them, well, actually, I'm not going on that traditional path, and that feeling of guilt and that feeling of, oh, I must be doing this wrong, and actually I should just do what they say because they know and love me, so what am I doing? That sort of overwhelming feeling of guilt and, again, fear. And I think it's really useful to talk about that and that sort of pressure around us, because I know for me, when I decided to give up clinical medicine, virtually everybody around me was saying I was mental. And actually in my heart I had coaching, and that's when I kind of got that bravery to move forward and to do it. And I love medicine, I'm so passionate about it, but I just needed to springboard in a different direction. And I'm really passionate about people springboarding. It's not a failure to stop, it's moving, using your skills and moving on. But everybody around me, like one of the consultants that I was in touch with, he said, Claire, you cannot give up clinical medicine. You have to run a frailty service. And I love frailty. And I was like, okay, I should just go and run the frailty service. And I got this amazing, really big job, like kind of dream job. And I sat and I thought, oh, I don't think I want to do it. And I was like, but I've got to do it because, I've got this big job. And then I realized through coaching, actually, I didn't want to do it. And that's when I had to step off the travelator, use some bravery, and block out all the people around me saying, you're doing the wrong thing, you're doing the wrong thing, because then actually just listen to what's was in here, which is what you were saying about instincts and really understanding what you want.
Yeah, that's you've put that really well, Claire, because that is a really hard one, isn't it? Because, if you're a medic or a healthcare professional, which many people watching this will be, it's such a noble type of profession. It's a vocation. We're relatively well paid. We've sort of worked, so family and friends would have seen us working so hard to get to a certain level. So we just seem a bit crazy, don't we, when we think, right, we want to mix it up a bit and do something different, whether it's medical writing, a bit of media, whether it's more teaching, coaching like you've done. So it is, I think this is where I think the vision board is really helpful, actually, to understand what you really want. Yeah, I think it's just really listening to your gut feeling, and we're not, as healthcare professionals, we're not generally very reckless. We're going to still make sure we have got money for food on the table for our families. What we're probably not good at though is listening to what we want. We're very good at listening to what expectations are from other people of us. And you don't have to leave medicine, you can create a portfolio career.
100%.
So that helps with the guilt side of things. But if you want to leave medicine, you know, it is your life at the end of the day, and you have one life, and you have to follow the journey that is right for you and what you were put on this earth to do.
100%. And I think actually when you start to think of it as you haven't failed if you're changing your career or adding bits in or going slightly off piste and not doing what's expected, actually if you start to sort of think, well, okay, so I am doing something different, but I'm not failing, I'm just springboarding, I'm taking the skills that I have and using them in a different way. It's not that all of that was a waste, it's actually I'm just using all that sort of managing things under pressure, teaching, or whatever it is, but just in a slightly different way that fits with you. And I suppose that kind of leads on to, I suppose, some of the tips that we wanted to share tonight, didn't we? So one of the ones I wanted,
it that you know you're using the skills that you've acquired, the ethics, the communication skills, the team working skills, and actually makes you very valuable as well. When you know, I know medics say, well, I'm not really good at anything else. No, actually you are, because you have built up so many skills working in a hospital or GP environment, primary care environment for so many years. You won't even realise how many good skills that you have that are valued by other sectors.
Yeah, do you know, so many people that I speak to say they are good for nothing else except for medicine. And I hate that, because every single person, doesn't matter whether you're a medic or something else, whatever role you have in life, is good at, they're good at doing things. Everybody is good at doing things. We might not recognize what we're good at, but what we do is, when I'm working with people, is start to break down actually their strengths. And the amount of people that are kind of going, oh my goodness, when they see all this list of things that they're good at on paper, how? I didn't even know I was good at these things. And I just think we forget, particularly as medics, that we're good at all these different skills and how transferable they are, like you were saying. So I suppose I just wanted to bring in, I'm just aware of time, that we wanted to draw things together. So our top tips. So what would you say were your sort of 2 headline top tips for having a happy career and happy you as a result of that?
I've actually got 4, but yeah, I've got 4.
Go for it.
I think one is realise the platform you're already on, which is what I've talked about, the sets of skills that you've already built up. If you're a GP like myself, then that actually allows you to have specialist interests and do many things as an adjunct to being a GP. So realise that platform. My second top tip is connect with others, because again, it's not something we do as medics. We don't really think that is, I mean, many other sectors and professions, connections are really important. They have networking events and all this stuff that we think is quite cheesy. But, you know, we've supported each other, haven't we, Claire? And I think that's just an example. You know, I mean, we've got a really exciting venture coming up that we'll announce shortly. And it all came up just because we messaged each other through Facebook, didn't it?
Yeah, we never even met.
Yeah. So, you know, connection is really important. And I always think about what you can do for somebody else when you connect with them, not what are they going to bring to you. And you know, if there's synergy, it will work, you know, both ways. And third one I've already mentioned, visualize your dream and your vision board. And then my fourth is the most important one, is you've got to take action. And I call it inspired action, because you might do this amazing vision board, you might make some networks, and you might write down where you want to be in 5 years. You've actually got to do something. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be big or fancy. Just do something to push your career in the direction you want it to go, however small or minuscule, it doesn't matter.
Love that. I mean, they're all amazing, but I particularly love the last one, because I am a massive advocate for networking, and how that's just it. And actually, maybe we should have this conversation on another live at another time, but it's just so important and so easy. So if you said to yourself, right, I want this goal, what can my first step be that's manageable? And actually, it could just be something as simple as sending one email. How long does that take? 3 minutes. Job done. That's one step towards something that you want, that fires you up. So I totally agree with you. I'm very, very passionate about that, so it might be something that we have another chat about. Well, I've got 2 take-home messages that I really wanted to push.
You've got all these expert tips with your career coaching background. Please share.
Well, I speak to a lot of people, so I hear lots of good stories. So I mean, my first one is you do you, and I think this is really, really important. I mentioned it earlier on. You don't have to be anyone except for yourself, and you don't have to go at breakneck speed to whatever it is that you want or that you don't want, but you just have to do you. So if I see different people wanting to go at different speeds, so some people need to make a massive change quickly, go, 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 go. If that's you, you do that. Other people just need to dip their toe off, put it back on, dip their toe off, put it back into other exciting experiences that fill them up and make them feel less depleted. That's great. And it's just, I feel it's really the zigzag path, and you just go at the speed that you want to go at, enjoy the journey and look back at where you've come from so that you understand how much you have achieved. So you do you is one of my top tips. And my second one, which is actually one of the ones that one of my clients said to me just randomly in a session, I can't get over how much I love this. It's strike while the iron is cold. And I just find that really powerful. So this is all about being proactive and making a space and actually in between your decision making. So when something happens, even if it's awful, even if it's a dire situation, before you react, before you respond, you think, okay, where's my responsibility in this? How can I address this differently? What else can I do to shape this? What can I control? What can I change? What can't I? And actually just taking that space while the iron is cold, before you respond, before you react, allows you to be proactive, which allows you to move forwards. And for me, that when she said that to me, I was like, wow, I was literally blown away. And she just came out there. I was like, that is so powerful. So for me, it's you do you and strike while the iron is cold. So brilliant. I think I just love chatting to you today, Angela. I'm sure we could go on all night, couldn't we?
Yeah, I really want to thank you for coming on, because obviously you've got all this expertise with your coaching, and you're sharing it with us and the Inspired Medics audience tonight, and I really appreciate that. And I really do hope that people have got something out of this, something in the conversation has resonated with them, and they'll take it away and put it into practice and hopefully feedback to us to let us know, because that makes us feel happy and fulfilled, doesn't it?
It does. And I think it's worth just sharing with people, how they can contact us. So for me, I'm all over social media, but particularly Instagram at Dr. Claire Kaye _ executive coaching. I'm always happy for you to DM me. I'm always posting free tips, career tips, lots of self-coaching, because I'm really into people's self-coaching. So you're more than welcome to contact me, and please follow me, because I'm always popping things on there. So I would love to have you follow me. And I also do this thing, which I did feature Angela in because she's amazing, called #Career Inspiration, which I mentioned earlier, which is basically about anybody who's got a flourishing career. These are normal people like you and me who are doing something amazing, and they tell us how they did it. And it's just, I find it inspiring, just even connecting with these people and writing about them. So I hope you do. And if you do, just leave me a message, let me know what you think, because I'd love to hear from you. And Angela, do you want to tell us a bit about how people can get in touch with you and Inspired Medics? I know you've got some really exciting things coming up.
Yeah, so we've got some exciting projects coming up. One is that we developed together, isn't it, Claire? Which we'll be announcing very shortly, hopefully.
Exciting.
So so we've got that coming up. If people want to get in touch with me, if you're interested particularly in careers around lifestyle medicine, I get a lot of queries in that. Now, we do actually have that covered in one of the courses, a whole module on it, written about how you can develop your lifestyle medicine career. If you're interested in learning about lifestyle medicine, we've got a free resource hub on our website, which is great for if you're wanting to create change in your career. Claire's written an article on the resource hub about happy career, happy you. If you want to, if you like things in a written format as well as video format, have a look there. We've got videos on there. We've got information on lifestyle medicine. We've got our CPD courses. We work in partnership with the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine, so everything's accredited by them. So if people want to contact me through the website or through Instagram. either on Inspired Medics or Dr. Angela Goyal. So yeah, I think that wraps it up.
I think so. Thank you so much for joining us, both live and also on playback. And we hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave us a comment. If you have any topics that you want us to talk about in the future, let us know. I've actually got so many ideas now, Angela. I was just desperate to chat to you all night. But anyway, so thank you so much for joining us. And it's been wonderful to chat to you, Angela, as always.